Kyler Murray is signing a 1-year contract with the Minnesota Vikings, which immediately improves the Vikings quarterback situation.
I'm shocked. Honestly, shocked, surprised, flabbergasted.
Yes.
I mean, I didn't see this coming. Who'd have thunk it, Chris?
Probably this show. We've spent the last 2 months talking about the idea that Kyler Murray landing with the Vikings would be the perfect situation. And, when we're looking at how this is all kind of working out in the NFL, where these quarterbacks who are first-round picks, top picks, number one picks, they flame out with their current teams because the teams that they're with suck.
Yeah.
It's whose fault is it with Baker Mayfield that he didn't work out in Cleveland? The Cleveland Browns got a good quarterback that they're working with, or do they have a group of players and they don't really know who any of them can really be, right?
Yeah.
It's the Cleveland Browns. You blame the Cleveland Browns, not Baker Mayfield. With Sam Darnold, who do you blame? Sam Darnold or the New York Jets, who are still searching for a quarterback? No, you don't blame Sam Darnold. You blame the Jets. So in this situation, Kyler Murray is a talented player.
Yeah.
He has a lot of potential. I'm blaming the Cardinals for not being able to figure this out and for allowing a player 7 years into his career to be able to go to a team that has a good head coach, who's a good offensive-minded head coach, and gets the most out of his quarterbacks. I think this is going to be a big win-win for the Minnesota Vikings, for Kyler Murray, and all involved.
Well, and you're right. It's a win-win for both because what you've seen from the moves from the Minnesota Vikings so far is shedding cap space, shedding players, restructuring deals, because they are so far over the cap because of what their former GM, Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, was doing with this team, signing high-profile guys, giving them a lot of money up front, giving them these deals where all this money was guaranteed and all of these contracts where they were bad, and they would have had to restructure these guys. So this was the perfect situation. You had a quarterback that was going to be let go, that his team was going to pay them a lot of money, and all you had to do was pay him the veteran minimum.
Mm-hmm.
And you just had to find a quarterback that fit that bill. And the quarterback happened to be Kyler Murray, who is very talented. And we've seen Kevin O'Connell have the track record. He did it with Sam Darnold. We assume he did it with Daniel Jones. It's not like Daniel Jones just came into the building and then left and all of a sudden the light switch flipped on. You assume he learned something from Kevin O'Connell, went to the Indianapolis Colts, and then he learned something while he was there for the 6 or 7 months. Didn't start any games, but while he was there in the same room, getting the tutelage and all that kind of stuff, went to the Colts. They were one of the best offenses to start the year, and then he was injured, and then the bottom fell out from the Colts. So now you get Kyler Murray, and people will say Kyler's been bad. The Cardinals have also been bad. The Vikings quarterback play has also been bad. Justin Jefferson is a top 5 wide receiver in the league. He had over 1,000 yards last year and only 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And I get it. Just J.J. McCarthy got hurt, and Max Brosmer was throwing him was throwing Justin Jefferson the football, but in 17 games, 2 touchdowns, that's unacceptable. If you look at Kyler Murray in 2024 and 25, because he only played in 5 games last year before the injury, 2024 and 2025. So if you combine the 2 years, he was 10th in success rate, 13th in EPA per dropback, and 14th in total QBR. Do you want to know where the Minnesota Vikings were?
I'm guessing they were in the bottom 3.
28th in success rate.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
29th in EPA per dropback.
There you go.
And 29th in total QBR.
Yeah.
So you can't tell me that the obvious choice wasn't to say, sorry, JJ, this is not working out. You can compete all you want to. We'll give you a fair shot. But what we're going to go out and do is do what's best for our football team and try to win now and go sign Kyler Murray for the league minimum, less than $2 million, and do what's best for our team.
Yeah, and I think that's where this is a huge move in the NFC. The Minnesota Vikings are clearly in competition now to win the conference and to get to a Super Bowl. I don't think that I would place them first in the conference, but they're in the conversation. They're a team that now with Kyler Murray, they will be able to compete. At the very least, they'll be able to compete to win their division in the NFC North. And the NFC North, as we were discussing yesterday here on the show, clearly is the best division in football. You have Detroit, Green Bay, Chicago, Minnesota. All 4 teams should have a chance to get to the playoffs next season. Now, obviously, things don't always happen that take place in March where we project out to next season. Teams that we think are good won't be as good. Teams that are bad surprise us. It happens every year in the NFL, and that's essentially why the NFL has such a great product. It's very difficult to predict how that's going to play out from year to year. So this is a huge move. Kyler Murray signs with the Minnesota Vikings yesterday. He also spoke to the media yesterday. Here's Kyler speaking to the Minneapolis media, talking about being a lifelong Vikings fan.
Genuine fandom. Ran deep, Vikings gear through and through. A lot of purple in my household. I don't want to bring it up right now, but maybe later another day. It was a moment. I'll bring it up anyways. Whatever. I cried real tears whenever Brett threw that interception. I cried real tears that day.
Brett Favre.
What is he, Prince?
Oh, yeah, a lot of purple in the house. Yes. In fact, it would be perfect if Kyler just had a palace like Prince has up there in Minnesota. Yeah. Yes. I think that would make a lot of sense. A lot of purple in the house. Hey, purple's a great color.
Hey, I don't mind it. Yeah.
No problem with purple.
Nothing wrong with
That's
purple.
a nice. He cried when Brett Favre threw the interception for the Minnesota Vikings back in the day, which is also, it dates how old Kyler is because Brett Favre was playing for the Minnesota Vikings at the time. Here's also Kyler speaking about Kevin O'Connell, his new head coach.
Me and KO go back to the Elite 11 days. I remember, during the combine, I did I had an interview with the Redskins at the time, Commanders, and he was with them, and he pulled me aside after my meeting with them, and ever since then, our relationship, he's always made sure to check in on me, whether it was after a game, things like that. So I always respected that. I always appreciated his opinion of me and the support that he's given me. So for now, getting to play for him and have that relationship with him means the world. Obviously, he's had a lot of success with different quarterbacks, and he's one of the best offensive minds in the game. So I'm looking forward to going to work with him.
So that's Kyler Murray yesterday speaking to the media after signing his 1-year contract with the Minnesota Vikings. He'll make the league minimum $1.3 million. He's also making $36.8 million guaranteed from the Arizona Cardinals. The thing that needs to be pointed out with this contract, there is no franchise tag written into the contract. So essentially, this is either going to be a 1-year deal or the rehab process is going to be great. Kyler Murray's going to be a free agent next offseason, and he'll sign a big contract somewhere else with a team who sees him as someone who really isn't quite the player that the Cardinals gave up on, but really the potential that I think the Vikings will get out of Kyler Murray.
Yeah, and I think that if this all works out well and the Vikings don't do what they did with Sam Darnold and they let him out of the building, and obviously this is Kyler Murray betting on himself and having the no franchise tag, and obviously he wanted that in order to sign. He could have maybe got into a bidding war with maybe the Steelers. The Steelers are probably expecting to hear from Aaron Rodgers any day now. They're just waiting for him to text back or respond or whatever it is to say, hey, I'm going to sign with you guys. But part of this is the no franchise tag, so he can sign a long-term deal if this does work out. And that's really hinging a lot of this working out. But if it does, I would be very surprised if after the Vikings get out of this cap problem that they have because of their former GM, who's no longer with the team, setting them up for this failure right now. If this works out, you have to sign Kyler Murray to a long-term extension for the next few years, for the next 4 to 5 years, whatever it is. And then you find something to do with J.J. McCarthy. Like, sorry, J.J., this is the NFL. Like, this is a cutthroat business, and we've seen this happen before. And you find another team to trade him to. You get something for J.J. McCarthy. This isn't the end of J.J. McCarthy. No one is giving up on J.J. McCarthy. But if you're the Vikings, you find another team to trade him to. And one of those teams could be the next team that Aaron Rodgers moves on from. I'm sure the Pittsburgh Steelers and Mike McCarthy would need someone to develop after Aaron Rodgers retires, or the Rams. You don't think that Sean McVay would take a look at J.J. McCarthy and say, hey, if after Matthew Stafford retires, I can turn J.J. McCarthy into a solid quarterback? Like, there's going to be a bunch of teams that if this works out for Kyler Murray and the Vikings, that will look at J.J. McCarthy and say, hey, if Kevin O'Connell fixed Sam Darnold and he fixed Kyler Murray, like, all is not lost with J.J. McCarthy, with these other quarterback gurus that are McVay. And even if he goes to, like, let's say he goes to even the 49ers as a backup or something like that, all these other guys that have fixed quarterbacks, these coaches that take these younger quarterbacks and find ways to fix them. This all hope is not lost for J.J. McCarthy.
No, I don't disagree with that. I do think that if we're sitting here it's next year at this time, I think if we play this forward, this is how it's going to work out. Because you and I, not that it was something that anyone else couldn't figure out, but we were suggesting from the start that Kyler Murray made the most sense with the Minnesota Vikings. Okay, so if we try and predict out into the future, I'm guessing the way this will play out is that Kyler Murray will have success. The Vikings will be a good team. The Vikings will be a wild card team this upcoming season. And Kyler Murray will get a contract extension from the Minnesota Vikings, and he'll be their quarterback for the next 5 to 6 years. If we were predicting today how it's going to play out, that's the way I would go. I would lean on what you just said, saying that Kevin O'Connell is a quarterback guru. He's someone that gets the most out of these players. And I think the Vikings are sick of each year questioning whether or not they have the guy. I think this time you have the guy. And unlike the situation in Indy, you mentioned Daniel Jones leaving and going to Indy, and Indy had the ability to transition tag Daniel Jones and then give the new contract. I think instead of having to worry and tag, I think they just give him a contract extension and they keep him in a Vikings helmet moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't see why they wouldn't, because if you find your guy, you hold on to your quarterback. And if it's working out for both teams, why would Kyler Murray go anywhere else? If you have Justin Jefferson, if you keep this, if you sustain a top 5 defense, if you make the playoffs, if you, as a wild card team, or you somehow win the division, like, their odds didn't change. On DraftKings, they're still plus 600 to win the division. That didn't change at all. Their win total is still at 8.5. That didn't change at all from this. They won 9 games last year. They're still projected to win 9 or so games this year, which isn't bad. I think they can win more because their quarterback play will be better. They're going to have a last place schedule because they came in last place last year. So it's not going to be horrible. I think they can win a couple more games. They're going to be more competitive in these games because of better quarterback play.
Is this fair for J.J. McCarthy?
It doesn't matter. It's the NFL. Who cares?
No,
fair.
It's cutthroat.
Fair. Was it fair?
You have to perform.
Was it fair to the Raiders that the Ravens said thanks but no thanks?
But I think you could also understand that there is a line of thought with J.J. McCarthy that the development should be allowed to take place.
Okay.
And so, like, if we're going to point Kyler Murray in the direction of Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, who go to the second location, they're fantastic. J.J. McCarthy, do we know what he is as a finished product? Now, full disclosure, coming out of Michigan, I did not think J.J. was on the same level of skill that we saw from Jaden Daniels, Drake May, or Caleb Williams. And in fact, out of that draft class, the 2024 draft class, I like Michael Penix Jr. better than J.J. McCarthy.
Mm-hmm.
Bo Nix is also a part of that draft class, and Bo Nix is a much better player than J.J. McCarthy. Do the Vikings just need to hold on to McCarthy and allow him to develop behind Kyler in hopes that in 2-3 years he turns into something? The only problem with that is that you're going to have to make a decision within the next year on the 5th-year option with J.J. McCarthy. He's of that draft class, and those players are going to be up for that conversation. I'm talking about Drake May with the Patriots, Jane Daniels with the Commanders, Caleb Williams with the Chicago Bears, Bo Nix with the Broncos. The conversation about the 5th year and knowing that you are going to extend those quarterbacks to the future, all of them will sign big-time contracts when we get to that point within the next year or so. Do the Vikings how do they play that? Because that's a situation where they don't really have a lot of time to allow, and especially if Kyler Murray beats out J.J. McCarthy as the starter, which you and I both are assuming that that's the place.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to take place here. How do you really develop when you're not actually playing?
Well, here's the problem, okay? If Kyler Murray wins the job and he plays really well and they make the playoffs and he signs an extension, JJ's got to go because he's not going to start. He's just not. If he wins the job and he doesn't play well and there's a question mark and maybe Kyler moves on, that's a different animal because how many years did Aaron Rodgers sit for? He sat for 3 years. Yeah. And then he came back in and he played because this would be the third year because he had a year off when he was drafted and he was injured.
Yep.
Last year was the second year. He played a little bit. He got hurt and then he came back and he finished the season out. This would be the third year. Does it click after sitting for a third year? We don't know. If Kyler Murray gets hurt, he is coming off of an injury. He only played in 5 games last year. Kyler Murray could get hurt halfway through the season. J.J. McCarthy might have to come in and start for a few games. A lot of quarterbacks don't play the entire season. So it's not completely out of the question that J.J. is going to have to come in at some point this season and prove that he can still play. So this could not be the end of J.J. McCarthy with the Vikings.